All right, I ran across this really interesting piece of history from Great Britain, and it is the project of converting the entire nation from manufactured gas to natural gas. This was done in the 1960s and 1970s. All right, this is a really, really interesting historical perspective here, because nowadays we're talking about converting from natural gas to electricity for a lot of reasons. But back then, they were converting from town gas, manufactured gas, to natural gas. So let's just watch the advertisement for this, the marketing of this conversion, because a lot of people were skeptical, just like they are in the conversion of natural gas to electricity. Here we go.
This is the new age of high-speed gas. And some people are born lucky. Born into this new age. You can grow up in a world where the water is always hot, with high-speed gas. Bedrooms are always warm. Corridors, too. Fast, obedient, controllable, high-speed gas. It's good to know the new age of high-speed gas has dawned, and it is all yours.
High-speed gas. Wow. So, okay. High-speed gas. I know high-speed internet is. I've never heard of high-speed gas before. So, this is interesting because I guarantee you that people back in those days were like, why do we need to do this? Why is this happening? What's in it for me? Why do I need to change? Gas is just fine. There's nothing wrong with it. You don't have to run advertisements on TV like this if people just accept the change. Here's the thing. What's really, really interesting is the gas industry in Great Britain, in the days of this project, was nationalized. The gas industry was owned by the government. So, what they had to do was they realized that there was methane gas under the North Sea. And a lot of very smart people realized that instead of manufacturing gas from coal, which is what they were doing up until this point, which was expensive, it was dirty, it was complicated, a lot of work, that they could basically just drill for gas, pipe it into people's houses, and skip that whole rigmarole of gasworks. Maybe that's why they call it high-speed gas. So, the situation was they had to basically go and they realized that to get the best benefit of this gas, they needed to convert all of the appliances in all of the homes across the entire country so they could burn this gas. So they could burn methane gas instead of carbon monoxide mixed with hydrogen and whatever, which is what town gas was. All right. And I'm sure there was a whole big mountain of compromises in meeting rooms someplace, because there are ways you could make methane gas work with the existing appliances. You can mix it with nitrogen, dilute it, because the whole deal is that methane has a higher calorific value. So in a given volume of gas, let's take a cubic foot. When you light that full cubic foot of gas on fire and burn it completely, you get about 1,000 BTU of energy. British thermal units, right? Funny, because the British don't even use the British thermal unit anymore. But we Americans like to use it. So let's just talk in terms of BTUs. British thermal units. With town gas, when you light a cubic foot of that on fire, you might get 300 BTUs. So it's a third. So the way that a gas appliance is designed is the gas is regulated to a specific pressure. And that pressure is then put behind an orifice, a hole. So basically the gas comes into the appliance, goes at a regulated pressure, say 3.5 inches of water column, whatever it might be in that appliance, and then that gas is allowed to flow through an orifice. So basically at a set pressure, at a constant pressure, you'll get a constant volume per unit time of gas through the orifice. Say 10 cubic feet per hour, like on a gas cooktop burner, which gives you 10,000 BTU per hour. If it was designed for town gas, you would need 30 cubic feet per hour or so to give you the same amount of heat, because the gas has a third as much energy per cubic foot. So what they had to do in these days is they decided, well, if we dilute the gas, then we're going to spend a lot of money on dilution. You want to use a gas like nitrogen that's inert and safe. You probably could use air, but it'd be best to not have oxygen in there. Then we also need to be able to economize on the pipe size. So if we only need to push a third as much gas through a pipe into somebody's house to meet their demands, then our pipes only have to be, we can use smaller pipes. We can save money. We save money on compression. We don't have to move as much gas. If the volume is reduced by a factor of 3, that's less power we need to use to compress the gas. Really good stuff. And it's all compounding over time because it's per unit of gas that you have to do all these things. So the engineers decided that we are going to convert the entire country from town gas to methane gas, or natural gas, or high-speed gas. Although I highly doubt that the engineers came up with the term high-speed gas. They probably just called it methane or natural gas and let the marketing team do all the literature for it. So high-speed gas from the North Sea is coming. So you would have received this in the mail with your gas bill at some point in time. This is what it will mean to you. We're going to convert your house from town gas to high-speed gas. C-Day, conversion day, is when we will start to convert the appliances to burn natural gas. That's going to mean safer and cheaper gas for everyone. So the funny thing, like I said, the gas industry in the United Kingdom at the time of this project was nationalized. I just find it incredible to think that these guys that worked for the government were allowed to come into everybody's home and convert all of their appliances to use a different fuel source. Remember the hissy fit that certain members of the United States Congress threw in 2023 over the idea of the government meddling in the world of gas stoves. Joe Biden's going to come to your house and take your gas stove away from you. Right? You can go back in time on the internet to January of 2023 and just remember it and reconcile the past. Okay? Here in Great Britain, the government, which owned the gas industry, sent people out to do this conversion. Will it cost me anything? Will it be inconvenient? How long will it take? Not a penny. The board bears the complete cost of conversion, which they estimate will work out at 30 pounds per household. Right? Moreover, from C-Day, your gas will be cheaper. That's because they don't have to run a gas works. So you can eliminate that whole chemical rigmarole of converting coal into gas. And you just have gas wells out in the water that send stuff through a pipe to your house. It's very, very interesting. I read this, and this is like the electrification today all over again. It's and the energy, in particularly in Great Britain, the big energy source that's being used for electrification is offshore wind power. All right. So this is fascinating from a historical standpoint. So anybody I find skeptical these days about the energy transition, I really would point them to go back and look at this stuff, because it tells you a story that we're doing all over again because we have better technology. What will it be a 9-day wonder? I'm assuming that 9-day wonder means that it's a fad. It's just a short-term thing that's just going to blow over, and then we'll move on to something new. No, already enough gas has been discovered to supply the industry's present sales for more than 120 years. All right. Obviously, 120 years hasn't passed since 1960, but also a lot more gas was consumed than they were selling in 1960. Probably more than double. I don't know what the value is, but the thing with town gas is because it was costly, people just didn't use it that much. They heated their house with coal. Most homes in Great Britain did not have central heating like they do now, right? Or like we're used to nowadays. There was no boiler that heated water and pumped it through radiators throughout the entire house. You had fireplaces, you had stoves that ran on coal or coke. The coke was often manufactured from the gas works that also made the gas. And it was a really complex, dirty, pain in the ass system. By doing high-speed gas, they simplified all that stuff. And now, they simplified it for the consumer, especially. Now, with electrification, we're simplifying it even further. So you have one gas or one utility coming into your house, and it does everything. Heat, hot water, cooking. And a lot of people ask questions like, why, they say that here. Why has no one found gas in the North Sea before? Well, because until recently, the advanced technical equipment for finding and utilizing this cheap natural source of high-grade fuel simply wasn't available. Likewise, good heat pumps, renewable energy that was dirt cheap, good lithium-ion batteries for vehicles did not exist years ago. That's why we went with gas, went with burning fuel, because it just made the most economic sense with the technology that we had. That's all changing really, really fast. And the technology already exists. It's just that we have this whole inertia now of changing people's stuff over. But I can tell you that it's not going to be anything like this project where they went around methodically and changed people's stuff to use the different gas, because unlike the gas, there's nothing that really forces you to have to make this instantaneous switch. With this gas, if they were to start sending methane gas through the pipes and your appliances were still set up for town gas, the flame on your stove would be completely out of control, because you would be burning 3 times as many BTUs than you were before. Big problem. So it was required to come in and physically upgrade the appliances. Whereas with electrification, we have the luxury of just phasing out the fuels. You know, we don't have to go through this methodical process like they did in the conversion to high-speed gas. So it'll take more time, but it won't be quite as invasive. Likewise, the government paid for this entire cost of this whole program in Great Britain. Nowadays, with electrification, our government incentivizes us to buy certain things. It incentivizes heat pumps, machines that can both heat and cool your house with the same electricity, you know, the same utility source, one machine. We have tax credits for those. We have tax credits for induction cooktops. We have tax credits for electric cars. We have tax credits for insulation to reduce your energy cost. We have tax credits for renewable energy. And renewable energy is like the equivalent of switching over to North Sea gas. Instead of having to manufacture the electricity from something else, like coal or natural gas, we have a machine that sits someplace and just takes energy out of the environment and turns it into electricity. It's the same exact concept. So this is all really, really interesting history. And really interesting slogan, high-speed gas. All right. And that's basically it. So you can go and find out more by just trying to search for high-speed gas, maybe Great Britain or UK online.